Morning, good afternoon, good evening, Fabulites. This is Angela with another edition of Notes on the News, where I share with you headlines and my thoughts on the headlines based on me being an expert on the subject or just having read the headline. But like I said in the beginning, it's not news. So let us proceed. Okay. Y'all, I got the car on. It is freezing out here. The car is like, rah, 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 rah. It's so loud. Let's go. Kabul green zone attacked by suicide bomber. So I guess the green zone in Kabul, that's somewhere in the Middle East, is sort of a place where diplomats go and where it's supposed to be like a demilitarized zone or a safe zone or something like that. And but what was interesting to me about the article, I'm assuming they have all kinds of, in that region of the world, stuff going on. And I think that there were 4 or 5 lives lost in this attack. I'm not sure, but I think that it was less than 10. But still, if it was, someone that you care about, every life is valuable and counts. So I'm not discounting that at all. So rest in peace to those souls who have made their transitions today, there and all over the world. But what was interesting to me about it is the suicide bomber. They say that they think that the child is 12 or 13. And so I'm trying to figure out, like, when you're 12 or 13, even when you live in a place like, the Middle East, or where in the world do you live where 12 or 13-year-old is not a child? And like, I would think that they were that's like if you take a 4-year-old child and put a bomb on them, are they a suicide bomber, or are they just being used as a bomb? So I'm thinking that this child is being used, that they're not like an active agent in, understanding and making military decisions. So I'm always kind of, when I see these stories that characterize children as military bombers or whatever, it's confusing to me, because 12 seem young to me. But, I live in the United States, so maybe a 12-year-old in the United States is, different from, 12-year-olds other places. I don't know. This lamp turns on by holding your smartphone hostage. So the lamp only works when you put the smartphone in. So that's like, let's say you say, well, I'm going to read for a half hour, and you're going to put your smartphone up, or I'm going to read a chapter of this book, and you put your smartphone in the drawer and you close it and the lamp come on, and then you read. You could read a whole chapter. But if you reach for your smartphone and open the drawer, then the lamp go off. So it's like a tool, a technique, a strategy to keep your awareness on what it is that you say that you're trying to do, and to keep you separated from your smartphone for, small amounts of time. I'm not really a big smartphone attacher to her. Y'all, I think I've already told you this, but I have had my phone, this BlackBerry I have had for many a year, and I keep it on silent. I have kept it on silent for so long that now I can't get it off of silent. So if I don't happen to have my phone in my hand, then I don't even know that it's ringing. So I'm not smartphone oriented at all. I use my smartphone to read the news. I use it to text. I write some emails on my smartphone. So there are times when I'm on my smartphone, but all of my apps are on this tablet that I'm looking at now. But my tablet only stays charged up for so long. So like today, if I'm trying to watch something on my Kodi, which is on my tablet, and make recordings, which is on my tablet, and check my social media, which is on my tablet, I have to like turn it off so that it can charge in between. It won't stay on for the whole day. I can't use my tablet for a whole day without it getting discharged. I can't use my tablet probably for more than an hour, a few hours without it getting discharged. So I have to rest my tablet, and I don't have enough stuff on my phone really, unless I'm working actively on something. I was doing some work for the show, and I had to email everybody and follow up emails and text messages and stuff like that. But I don't, and I have a app on here where I can like actually write documents. So I have done writing on my phone, like literally, like instead of a computer, I've used my phone and like, you know, worked on, you know, like actual, you know, pieces of literature and stuff on my phone. But I'm not, so I this isn't for me. This little device is for people who, you know, they just always have their phone in their hand. And I've even become more conscious, because I do notice, because it's been pointed out to me, like when you go out to dinner with people and everybody is just in their phone. And so I try to like put my phone away even more than I do normally. I'm gonna turn the heat up. I hope it's not too loud and too distracting. Is it too loud? There's convincing evidence that speed limits are way too low. What are some of the speed limits where you live? Over here on the expressways, some expressways it's actually 55 miles an hour. 55 or 65 is standard. I don't know if we have any freeways over here where the speed limit is 75, but I think that it's unusual to see. Most people ride about 70, 75, 80, 85 on the highway. Now, sometimes you'll get on the highway and see that everybody is going slow, and then I know, oh, it's a cop on the highway. But how often do you see? I don't see cops on the highway very often, so it's rare that people are going 55, 65 miles an hour on the expressway. You know, you have some people who are, you know, moving slow on the highway, but for the most part, most people move fast. And the article is saying that the reason that a lot of these municipalities keep their speed limits low is so that they can get us with the tickets. You see what I'm saying? They know it's too slow, and they know people go faster than that. YouTube aims to improve monetization for creators. Y'all, I ain't never got a cent from YouTube. I don't know nothing about no monetization, nor birthing babies either. Crazy Rich Asians stakes out mid-August date. So it looks like Crazy Rich Asians was a book, maybe a group of 3 books, and I don't know if they've created a movie or a TV series based on this book or series of books. But anyway, this is the first time hearing about it, but they have a mid-August date, I guess, for release or whatever. And I'd certainly look at it. I always like to see somebody other than rich white men with property and power on the television. So even though like Big Bang, when I used to watch it on occasion, I thought it was a good show, but at some point I'm kind of like, there just hardly the Indian guy is the most colored guy, but it's just like they world. Like, I like to see some brown black people, a lot of brown black people on my shows. Okay, it's gotten a whole lot more expensive to die in America, and they talk about the cost of caskets and burials have gone up, not 100%, not 200%. I think it was like, did I see 320%? Maybe it was 220%. But it's the thing that has risen the most in you know, the price of burying people has become more and more expensive, probably more expensive than almost anything over the last, I think it was like 5 years. But anyway, it's like that's when they get you. And you know what I was thinking about, all of these people who you see are raising money to bury their loved ones with GoFundMe accounts, and they having, you know, fried chicken dinner fundraisers and stuff like that. And I guess at one point I was kind of like, well, what's going on? People aren't preparing, you know, for that. People, you know, and I guess it's kind of like, well, it's so many people who live, you know, day to day, week to week, you know, month to month. They don't have any cushion for any emergency type situation. Even though we know death is coming, we don't know when death is coming and whose death is coming. But I never really put it in the context of, you know, the prices going up and people being perhaps exploited, you know, and, you know, held hostage at the time. Like, why are the prices going up and up and up? Is it getting, you know, what's getting more expensive? You know, is it a legitimate up and up, or is it just extortion? I suspect it's just extortion, but y'all know I'm getting jaded in my old age. All right. Catalonia's Castells children scramble up human towers. It's these tall towers, and they're it's a tradition, I guess, in this community Catalonia, we know that's in Spain. They having the whole independence thing going on there. But this is something that they do where it's kind of like, you know how cheerleaders have towers? Well, these are tall towers of, I guess, children. And it's to show that if we all work together, what we can accomplish. I think that's what I read. Castells. Singapore python tries to eat petrified pet parrot. The parrot was alive. It was petrified as in terrified. At first I was like, petrified as in a stuffed dead parrot, but no, it was alive, and it was just petrified because it was in the cage and the snake was trying to eat it. Like, you know, it had come into the house and it was trying to get it. And I wonder, like, in the wild, how often a bird has to worry about being eaten by a snake, because they could probably fly away. Whereas when you're in a cage, you can't fly away. So it's like you're a sitting duck or a sitting parrot or a standing parrot, just waiting to be eaten. So they say the parrot hadn't been singing for the last couple of days, and they're going to give it some more sunflower seeds. I don't want to live in a cage. I know why the cage bird sings. Okay. Airbnb host charged with murder in the death of a guest in Australia. It was like a 36-year-old man. He looked like a 36-year-old white man, around 36. And the three men who he was staying with were like 37, 41, 48. And they supposedly raped and killed him. That's terrible. How a former Miss Liberia became an entrepreneur. Pop-up library program celebrates success with free laundry day at Westside Laundromat. So there's some kind of program in Detroit and maybe nationwide where they have established little mini libraries at laundromats, because they figure you there for an hour, 2 hours, you might as well read. And they have librarians there and everything, and you can check out books. I remember when I was a kid, we used to have it was like a library on wheels, mobile library. It had a cute name, I think. I can't remember what it was. But it would like roll down the street, and you could go onto, it was like a truck. You could go onto it. Did y'all have it where you grew up? You could go onto the back of it, and you could check out a book, and then they come back in like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whenever the books were due, and you would return your books and you could check out more. But it seemed like I only remember it coming like maybe 2 or 3 times. It didn't seem like it was like a regular thing, but it was kind of like cool to like get on a truck that was a library. I'm a book kid, so I loved anything having to do with the library. But so the library at the laundromat, so in celebration of this program, this very successful library at the laundromat program, some laundromat on the west side of Detroit, I thought it was all of them, are offering free washing. Yay. Sarah Forbes Bonetta, the stolen princess who used intellect to free herself from captors. So this is back during slavery times, I think. I skimmed it, but I don't even remember what it was about. Dr. James H. Cameron, Black Holocaust Museum founder, lynching survivor. You don't hear too much about lynching survivors. You know, somebody try to lynch you and you don't die. On American Gods, they had a scene where they tried to lynch the blackish character, the black character. I call him black. What was his name? Not Mr. Wednesday. Moon. Sunday Moon. What was his name? Shadow Moon. They tried to lynch Shadow Moon, but it didn't work on him either. But I never really think of lynchings being unsuccessful. China considers a 3-year jail term for disrespecting national anthem. There are probably some people here who would like to have that type of situation going on. India, uncles convicted of raping and impregnating child aged 10 years old. I guess that child would be their niece. You know, like being an uncle or being an auntie is like being a mother, like your brother and your children. And I guess some fathers and stuff molest their children, rape their children or whatever. But I'm sorry, little baby girl, that happened to you. And it's a whole big world out here, and there are some monsters you've encountered, but there are some people who are kind and gentle and human. So I'm glad that they were convicted. I don't know what their punishment is for their conviction. Pakistan bride charged over poison milk killings. So I think what I read is that she had put the poison in the milk for her husband, and then that milk ended up being turned into yogurt, and 13 or 14 people got it, and they've been getting killed from it, and that she was forced to marry this person. So it's not good to kill people, but it's also not good to force people to marry people, because it was, did I say that they say that she was forced to marry this person? She didn't want to marry him, and so she and her lover, her boyfriend, came up with this plan. I mean, some people's lives just be really intense, right? Mogadishu bombings, daytime ban on trucks to stop attacks. So I think I skimmed the article and I still can't remember. It's been in a fortnight, and I was like, well, what is a fortnight? A fortnight apparently is a 2-week period. So in a 2-week period, there's been the bomb that happened that I mentioned before, and I couldn't remember if it was 200 or 500 people who had died, but I think it was around 250 people had been killed in that first bombing. And I think that enough people had been injured that in my head, that's why I was like at 500, but a lot of people were injured as well, and that was within the last 2 weeks. And then they had another incident at a hotel, this week sometime. So they have a ban on trucks during the daytime. Isn't that something? I guess it's like anything can be a weapon if you're trying to hurt people. But why are we out here trying to hurt people? I mean, I don't know. An arrest warrant has been issued for Rose McGowan on drug charges. Are they trying to silence me? She asked. So Rose McGowan is the one who sort of, quote unquote, broke the story, or the big one, with this Harvey Weinstein situation. And she spoke, I think, at the women's conference here in Detroit this weekend. And, so she says that these drug charges are trumped up and they trying to harass her because of, what's going on with Weinstein. So I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't put it past her. I don't know her, but I wouldn't put it past anybody, particularly if someone has been experienced rape and molestation and harassment, to, be using drugs. And I wouldn't put it past, big, powerful people to set people up falsely for using drugs. So I don't know what's going on. The truest form of identity politics belongs to white America. So basically the article was saying that, most people, when they think of Americans, they think of white folks. It don't matter. And I was just looking at a video yesterday or the day before of these Asian people who have been in the Mississippi Delta for generations, and she talk like this. She got a southern accent. That's a terrible southern accent. And people come up to her and ask her, where'd you learn to speak English? Where are you from? And she was born and raised in the Mississippi Delta, as were her parents. So people look at her, some people look at her, and they just can't fathom how she is American. And the same thing for black people. The only people who research shows, many people can think of as American are white people. Students mock Freddie Gray's death for Halloween. So they're wearing orange jumpsuits with the name Freddie Gray on the back. I couldn't remember. I remember the name Freddie Gray, but I couldn't remember what the situation was with him. Which one of the many gazillions, it feels like, of murders of black people he was. He was handcuffed and I think dragged, or his back or whatever had been broken or injured, or his neck or whatever, and then he was put in the back seat of a truck and I guess rolled around and ended up dying a few days later because his injury to his neck or back got worse from the way he was not secured in the back of the truck and the driving in the back of the truck. But I don't understand, it's like a real sickness, right? Because why is it funny to, even if it was a white person who had died that way, why is that like a funny Halloween costume? The only thing that I can think of is some white people are so hostile and angry at black people that they're deliberately trying to poke fun at and mock and belittle the lives of black people. I don't get, Like, it seems like beyond poor taste. Like, why would you think that's a funny Halloween costume? It seems like they don't think it's a funny Halloween costume. They just think that Halloween is a good opportunity to harass black people on another level. Because some people feel like all days, any day, any time is a good time to harass black people. One person killed in University of Utah shooting. Police still searching for suspect. Flogging. Holes dug in ground to protect unborn children of pregnant enslaved Africans. Surfing beneath the northern lights. Staples employee somehow decides blackface costume is the way to go. Again, why? I don't. Papua New Guinea closure. So there are some people who are being detained in Papua New Guinea, and they are like refugees from other countries. One was white and one was African, and the people in the community don't want them there, and the people who run the center to detain them, they just gonna let them go, and the people in the community have been threatening to kill them. I was like, what in the world was going on when I kind of skimmed the article. Outcry over Russian teenage model's death after Shanghai show. They say she was worked to death. She was already underweight, and they were just working the mess out of that poor child. School principal pins student down in explosive exchange. Just from what I could see, it looked like a white principal and a black student. And, you know, I don't know why these grown-ass men feel that they need to attack children, black children. And I guess that's just hardwired into some people's, you know, spirits and souls. I guess it's hardwired into the society to attack and kill black people. Michelle Obama's White House photographer reveals in a new book what being around the former First Lady is like. So the president had a photographer who followed them around, and the First Lady had a photographer who followed her around, Michelle Obama. And so this person has written a book about her. Mapped America's mega regions based on where people live and work. So this is like not just like lines on the map, but actually like communities, kind of like Detroit or like downriver in Michigan might be like its own community, and there's like Taylor, and you know, I don't even know what communities are there, but they might be like a mega region. And then, you know, Royal Oak and Ferndale might be a mega region. But like the more natural flow of how people, you know, communicate and live and hang out, and where they travel, and how they do what they do. The U.S. Navy's largest floating hospital docked in Puerto Rico. Yay. 20 photos show why Detroit was voted the #1 place to travel in the U.S. this year. Netflix cancels House of Cards as Twitter erupts over Kevin Spacey controversy, and they're planning some spin-offs. Outcry from conservatives prompts National Park Service to yank $98,000 grant from Black Panther Party Legacy Project. Twitter will tell Congress that 36,000 Russia-linked accounts generated 1.4 million tweets during the election. Chinese and Mississippi Delta. And that's what I got. 23 minutes. Dang, I was trying to do it in 20 minutes or less, but I was talking a lot. Thank you so much for clicking on the video and sticking around. I'm Angela again. The channel is Be Fabulous You. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. I'm working on 200 subscribers. Yay! For all of you who are subscribers, thank you. Welcome back if you're new to the show. Not news. Today is the best day ever. Be you, be fabulous, you. Be you, be fabulous, you. Be you, be fabulous,